Hi creative friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. I really hope that the lighting is okay for this video because it has been raining all day and it is really gloomy. So hopefully you guys can see as well as expected for the video. But anyways, I wanted to make this video on just one thing that you can do to make your paintings, your layouts, your art journal pages more painterly. So I learned this a really long time ago when I took art classes from an amazing teacher. This was when I first started painting, and she said if there's just one thing you can do, because especially when you're first starting, but I guess at any time, there are so many different elements to painting. I mean, there's line, composition, this, that, and the other, that it's really difficult to focus on a whole bunch of things at once. So I just find that it helps to simplify things. And she said this one thing will really elevate your art. And what that one thing is to look at your color fields as not one flat color, but to really isolate the parts of whatever it is you're painting and to add different colors and values and textures and hues, intensities, etc. in your objects. Now that object could be anything, and I'm going to show you. I have like three they're just completely different artists, but they're all going to illustrate what I'm trying to say. So that object could be anything. It could be a pear, it could be abstract like Elena Hennessy, it could be a face like over here, it could be absolutely anything. It could be a landscape, it doesn't matter. Now, I just want to preface this by saying there is nothing wrong with flat color fields. It is needed as well. It's just that, if you want to make your stuff more painterly, this one thing is going to really change how you see things and then how you put that on paper or whatever substrate you're using. So I'm just going to move this just so it doesn't get confusing. And this is like and then at the end of it, I'm going to also do an exercise here that, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So this over here is a postcard by Cezanne, and obviously it is a print, so a lot of the original stuff does get lost. That being said, you can still see that, okay, like if I'm looking at this painting, right, I can see that's a background. It's I would say white or a grayish background. I would say this is a table. There's some pears, there's a plate, and there's some kind of a water container, jar, whatever, okay? But if I had to look at it closer, okay, like look at the jar, for instance, just take the jar, okay? Look at how many different colors, values, the intensity, like that is not white. You might read that as white or gray, but actually there's some green in there reflecting off the pear or the apple. There's some blues, some purples, some blacks, probably some burnt sienna, some umbers. There's a whole bunch of neutrals over here. And even the background, excuse me, the background, you might read that as, I don't know, white, gray, whatever. But there are a ton of colors in there. There's purples, there's yellows, there's blues, there's greens. I mean, there's so many colors and values and intensities in the background. And it's the same for everything on here. And he was a master at color, at neutrals, at, all sorts of things. But just looking at this, you're just going to see, okay, there's this is a table. There's a background like grayish white. You're going to see the pears. Maybe that's an apple. You're not really going to kind of go, oh, well, there's, there's red in that pear. There's white in this green pear. Like generally you're not going to do that. You're just going to read it as a cohesive whole, okay? But this, if you really get out a viewfinder and parse it, you're going to see all the different everything in there. And nothing is done over here by accident. Like, he didn't just randomly come in here and go, oh, I think I'm gonna put the blue over here. No, he understands you know, modeling. He understands form. He understands the way the light is hitting the object. So everything is very intentional. Now I'm going to show you this over here. This is the Alana Hennessy book, and she's a contemporary artist, and a lot of her stuff is very abstract. That being said, I'm gonna once again, like, point to this, you know, I call it a moon, but in this green moon, there's pink in there, there's blue in there, there's different shades of green in there. The pink is not just one flat pink. There are tons of different variations in the pink. There's, you know, she put patterns on it. Like, there is a lot of variation, shall we say, even in an abstract. So even though she's not trying to depict, you know, like, oh, the way something is turning in space and etc., etc. Well, she is for the moon, I think, a little bit, but, you know, the background. So now I'm going to show you this, okay? And I think I talked about this in another video when I don't remember what I was doing the video on, to be quite honest, but I know I used this particular example. So when I look at this sweater, I see like a red sweater, right? But if I had to really break it down, I would say like 70% of this sweater is not even red. Like, this whole part over here seems to be like a burnt umber, a Payne's gray, like it's almost black. You know, and over here, there's like burnt sienna, there is some golds over here, there's umbers, and the actual red or orange is very little bit of this sweater, but I'm still reading it as a red sweater. And then look at her hair. Like, when you look at her hair, it looks like it's black hair, or her skin tone, for instance. That looks like beautiful, rich brown skin. But when you parse it, when you really take it apart, you're like, oh, that looks like there's some gray over there, and that looks like, you know, there's some umbers and maybe sepia and burnt sienna and this and that and whatever. So there is a lot of different colors and values and intensities and neutrals and everything that is going into painting this portrait. And, you know, it's not like she just, like, you know, took like a brown and put the brown all over the face and, you know, just kind of said, oh, I'm just going to put a little bit of highlight here. No, these are actually different colors that she mixed up. And the reason why I know this is because in the book she talks about it, right? So she'll like say like, hey, yeah, I mixed these specific colors and added them. So it's not like she just went in here and painted this whole thing brown and then just, you know, came in and put some highlights. No, these are all different colors. And I've seen Van Gogh do it like very masterfully, especially with greens on the face. That to me is like really, that seems really difficult. So over here, I already did this, and then I'm going to do another one in another color. But this here is just this pink, a beautiful pink. It's an Italian paint, not very expensive. I don't know what the color is actually called because it is in Italian. But all I did is I just put this color by itself, just with some water, and I applied it. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's a beautiful color, right? Now over here, what I did is I use this color, I use my Luminous Opera, I use this color, which is a red violet, which is quite a lot darker, leaning towards the blues, and I actually used my cashew chalk paint as well, like over here, and I might even have used some titanium white. So if you look at the two, even though this is kind of abstract because it's like a pink moon or whatever, I mean, I'm calling it a moon, it could be just a circle, but, you know, even though it's like an abstracted kind of a thing, an object, can you see how this is just so much more richer, interesting? It's got more dimension to it. So there's nothing wrong with applying it flat like that, but like, look at the difference, you guys. Like, look at that. Like, this just takes it to another level. So what I'm gonna do is, I think I am going to I'm wondering here what I should do. Should I do like, I think I'm gonna do blue. I'll just do like a blue, okay? Maybe that's, yeah, okay. I'll just do a blue here. So on one side, this is just ultramarine blue, a beautiful blue. I'm just gonna kind of like put it down like so. And there's nothing wrong with this, you guys. It is a beautiful, delicious blue here. So I'm just using a little bit of water and I'm just applying it like so. Nothing crazy. And it is a pretty blue, ultramarine, right? So now what I'm going to do over here is I am going to get a few different blues. This is Prussian blue, much darker than the ultramarine. I might even use some white. I don't know. I do have this turquoise over here, which I don't know. I may use. I'm not sure. I don't want to use too many colors, you guys, because that might kind of might, you know, just complicate things, which I'm not trying to complicate things. So this is a Prussian blue, and it's like quite dark, right? See how it's like so much darker than the ultramarine. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my god. So you guys, if I remember correctly, Van Gogh used Prussian blue a lot for Starry Night, and you know, it just, yeah, it's iconic. It's so just luscious. Like, oh my god, like look at that. So now I'm using the ultramarine, right? So if you can see, like I said, it's kind of gloomy outside. So hopefully this camera is picking up on the differences here. But I can very clearly see that there are differences. Like, see the Prussian blue and the ultramarine blue, they are two different blues. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of this turquoise here. Just a little goes a long way. And I am also going to put some of that cashew there. I don't know if I'm going to, ooh, okay, should not have done that. That was my Prussian blue, which I thought that was my ultramarine, but that's okay. Okay, so, let's see. And I think what I'm going to do is I am going to add a little bit of the titanium white, and I'll bring it up closer, you guys. I'm really sorry for the lighting situation. Yeah, it's been so rainy and gloomy, which I love the rain, honestly, but it's not good for me recording for lighting purposes. And if I turn on my, like I've got studio lights here, but if I turn them on while I'm recording, it tends to flatten things out. It's good for me working my studio lights, like if I'm just working, but if I'm recording, it does tend to flatten things out. So now I'm going to add a little bit of titanium white to the mix. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring this up closer, okay? So can you see the difference between the two? Like, this is just the ultramarine blue. Nothing wrong with it, you guys. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful color. But look at how much more dimension this has. Look at how, you know, rich this is. Look at the, you know, it's just got a lot more interest to it. It's got a lot more dimension to it. And all I did was I just used a few different colors. Now I wish I could find the Alana Hennessy, you know, I did like one of those like prompts with a pink background. I can't find it right now, you guys. My studio is back to being messy again. But, you know, that's one of the things I really loved about the background. It wasn't just the pink, but it was just the way it had so much dimension to it. So just practice, you guys. Really try to set up like you know, if you go to a craft store, even to Walmart, and they have those styrofoam balls, or maybe even the dollar store, they have these styrofoam balls, and they should be like really, you should be able to get them for like 50 cents or something. And it's just a white styrofoam ball. You want it to be white, you don't want it to be colored. And practice like setting it like with lighting that comes from the top, either the top right or the top left. You don't want it full on because that's gonna make, it's not gonna give you the shadows you want. So I did make a video on how to set up lighting for a still life, and just try to set up like a ball, a sphere, and then practice making these kind of painterly kind of like practice circles. And basically you're gonna find that it's really gonna make you see tone, modeling, like how something turns in space. You're gonna see how the light hits it, and you're also going to be able to see different colors. Like you're gonna see where the dark part is, that's gonna be a darker value. And you can say, oh, for that darker value, I want to use gray, I want to use blue. You don't, like, you know, you get the, like, focus on the value. But this is like a really, like, one thing you can do to really elevate your painting. And just say you were working in art journal and you were gonna do a moon, for instance, since this is, you know, the shape of a moon, like, you know, you can just make this and then you can write in it, you can do whatever, but it really does elevate your piece. So anyways, you guys, I hope that this has been helpful and inspiring, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.